Alright, where were we here? Let's get serious. Yeah, so ContraPoints. Get on here. That's the thing. I can bring up the fact that my uncle is a pervert, and then they could just throw that back on me. You like this kind of thing. So we can't go after him on the basis of that. We just have to go after him on the basis of he has been in my house for the last 20 years, and my dad, instead of raising me in the house, he had to raise me in the apartment right down the street, and he had to pay an extra $1,000 a month. Instead of just living in the house, it was actually his. And he made it harder for my uncle in a wheelchair. He took out the elevator that had been in the house since the 70s for my paraplegic uncle. He made my other uncle stay in his RV down the street. So let's get a good $5,000 together. That is put away for an attorney for when that time comes. So I'm not standing here. This is not a joke anymore. Okay. I guess the other big enemy is my mom, and we'll get into that where we do up these rivals briefly, because I don't want to sound like somebody on the bus. My mom's a narcissist. I need spare change. I don't want to sound like that, but I am resigned to my fate. I'm just gonna say briefly that because I don't want it to seem like I'm hung up on this stuff. When I was 16, I used to laugh at 30-year-olds who had mommy problems. It is pretty bad having mommy problems. I'd say it's worse than daddy problems because it's a very fundamental lack. The thing I need in my life is for my mommy to give me a hug. And if I ever bring that up, she's like, "Ooh, you're one of those people whose mommy needs to give them a hug." And it's like, she's the only person who can do that since she's my mom, so... she left when I was born, and we had a house. The family, me, my dad, my mom, had a house. My dad bought it for 40 grand and was fixing it up. Now that same house is worth 300 grand. So my mom left, and she gave up that house and that life and that family to go have fun. She wasn't having fun. Her son was too much of a burden for her and got in the way of her joy. Her joy isn't her child, her joy is go and have fun. So my dad had to sell the house when I was 8, and we've been poor and without a house ever since then. My dad died. So it's my mom's fault that I don't have a house to go back to my whole life. And then when I was 30, she comes back into my life. You know, for a couple years she's saying, "You know what, I'm tired of hearing you, you're just out there. I'm gonna buy you a house." And you know what she did? For 2 years we researched houses. Then for 2 months we went up there, up to upstate New York, and she bought a house right in front of my face. And that's in my GoFundMe, that's where we get that amount, that 90 grand. That is, she bought me a 90 grand house, no strings attached, saying, here you go, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And then when we were in the Airbnb down the street, it was about 20 miles away. It was not the same house. It was not even a similar house. I was washing the dishes there and I left the water running, and she comes in freaking out. When we're at that new house, the new house has a septic tank, so you can't leave the water running, and I know when we're up there you're just gonna leave the water running like you're doing now here in this different house, so you're not getting it at all, you homeless bum. And so I don't know what to make of that. It's probably something triggered her for a memory of her own, and somebody called her names, and now she's projecting, and she doesn't do any introspection, so she'll never change her mind. So I'm not getting that 90 grand worth of generational wealth back because she is a narcissist, and I don't want to feed into her false ego, which she has never worked on and will never do any introspective work on. I'm not going to be subservient to that for the rest of my life. So can I please have a little bit of what is already mine? She doesn't understand the generational wealth. And this is important, see? This is important to this whole thing that we're doing, because this is my life and my family. So I'm showing you that on my dad's side, my uncle has my house, and he's not giving it over. And on my mom's side, I haven't talked to her in 3 or 4 years. I'm probably never going to talk to her again. She bought me a house, then said, you can't have this house because you're homeless. So I still need to get on with my business and my life. So I'm no longer a part of that family. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating my new family. Families are important. There's been a lot of stuff done in United States to not, like, look at the bond of mother and son should be so strong that petty things should not get in the way. And then you're a snowflake, you don't work hard, you're not a hard worker, and I don't read about economics, so I don't know what's going on, and I don't want to hear any facts, and everything is the same as Ronald Reagan, and he made things good, and if you can't fit into that system, then you deserve to be on the streets, even though you're my own son. So I crawled out of that person, and she's like, make me some more money. So in my family that I'm making, the value, see, I don't share the same values as them. My value is that if you have access to housing, then everyone in the family who doesn't have access to housing can have access to that housing, no matter what. So I'm making a new family based on that principle. Let's continue. Now we're on rivals. We talked about ContraPoints. We're gonna move on to Smide. This is Divorce Wars, of course, probably 10 years ago, I posted a video that said I was going to defeat Sam Hyde. I don't think that's the way to go currently. He might be ripe for defeat. He might be, you know, set him up and knock him down. But actually, there's a mass industry that sends dollars to him, and people like him for. He creates a stir, and then you make videos saying, "Well, I'm not like him. At least I'm not a Nazi. Hey, I'm me, and I'm not that." And there's there's a whole massive mass industry of creating that. So when you make your videos, you're giving him money and attention. And the thing is, so I'm somewhere in between ContraPoints and Sam Hyde. If you want to, for this to make sense, in 2016, ContraPoints went Hillary Clinton. In 2016, Sam Hyde went Donald Trump. I believe that the correct response to the political climate of that time was to go Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein. To get sucked up in either of these polls, you're polarized. You need to see through that stuff and find a third option, a different way. It probably makes sense that he just saw that it's a grift and so he could make money, so he's probably not really all that into it, but he's getting, you know, once you get that internet hate machine behind you, I don't know, you gotta get to a level where you transcend that and you don't get caught up in it. He's probably there, and I'd like to say that Sam and I would consider us friends. Back in the day, we were both on this forum called the Friends Society, and it was if anyone remembers, it was a forum about crane accidents, disasters happening with cranes on job sites, and it was really funny. There's not been anything like it ever since. He knows what I'm talking about, and I'm a sub-genius. So we were back on there. Hey, your stuff is just like Tim and Eric. Why don't you get something original? And eventually he did, and you know, I like that he made something that previously the goalpost was Adult Swim or you're nothing, and he made his own thing, so I'm making my own thing, so it's just rivalry, and